Welcome to Hard Talk. I'm Stephen Sackur. When the Spanish government threw out the regional administration in Catalonia, imposed direct rule from Madrid and called regional elections, it took a calculated risk. Next month, we'll see whether it was well advised. If Catalans give a clear majority to pro-independence parties, Spain and the European Union will be facing a protracted crisis. My guest is Spain's Minister for EU Affairs, Jorge Toledo. Can Madrid outmaneuver the secessionists? Jorge Toledo in Madrid, welcome to Hard Talk.
Thank you very much.
You presumably want the forces of unity, the political parties backing the integrity of Spain as it currently exists, you want them to win, don't you?
Well, I do, but that's my personal opinion, but it's not up to me. There is a regional election. This is democracy. The Catalan people will, in a perfectly legal, perfectly organized, monitored and all, election, choose as they wish.
Indeed, but my point is this. If you want the forces supporting unity to win, why don't you make it a little bit easier for those parties by acknowledging the grave mistakes that Madrid made in the run-up to and on the day of the Catalan referendum on independence? Surely that would help if you actually said, you know what, we did make some terrible errors.
Well, I don't need anybody. I mean, I don't need to acknowledge any mistake. We all make mistakes. But the biggest mistake here was to revoke by a simple majority of the regional government on the 6th and 7th of September, jumping over every legality, even their own legality. They revoked the basis of the rights and freedoms of all Catalans in Catalonia. That was the biggest mistake. So let me criticize the mistakes, the grave mistakes and the great damage they have done to Catalonia, economically, social fracture. The other day we lost a very good candidate of Barcelona because of this. Listen, this is the big issue. The damage the independentist government and the independentist forces have done to Catalonia, and this is going to be we are going to recover from this, because first thing you need is legal certainty. Yes. 2,700 companies have left Catalonia because of this. We want them to go back, and for that they need legal certainty. When you revoke every legality, when you don't even follow your own legality, nobody wants to go to your place. So
if I may, Minister Toledo,
restore legality, and then we can build together.
Yes. If I may interrupt you for just a second, Minister, I asked you for any acknowledgement of your mistakes. Don't you worry, we'll talk to the Catalan regional government as it was about the things they did, but I need to press you on things you did. For example, was it wise for you to use such powerful and polarizing rhetoric when you called the referendum that they held in Catalonia, and I'm quoting you directly, an evil, illegal act? Why on earth did you call it evil? These are just civilians conducting a vote.
No, it wasn't civilians conducting a vote. It was a government jumping over every law, even their own regional law, the basis of their legitimacy, breaking their own law to approve convening a referendum which they knew was illegal. That's evil. That's not democracy. You cannot jump over your own democratic law, which needs 2/3 to be changed. You change it by a simple majority. That's evil. Well, evil. Okay, well, it's evil.
Evil is
illegal.
A word that indicates...
For me, illegal in a democratic world.
Yeah. Evil is a word that indicates something about the mindset that the government in Madrid seems to have. Another thing that indicates your mindset is sending in security forces to stop peaceable men and women from voting, dragging them by the hair, beating them up, human rights groups reporting that there were dozens of people who had injuries as a result. Again, if you were to say sorry for that, it might change the political atmosphere in the run-up to the December 21st vote. Will you do that?
Listen, I am sorry, and we all regret that there was people injured. As far as we know, there were 2 people in hospital, one with a heart attack, and we have unchecked reports about people being injured, but 2 people in hospital, and that's regretful. But the police forces were sent there by a judge, a Catalan judge, by the way, to enforce a court order. They used force, and there were in about 2,200,000 people, there were 2 people in hospital. That's regretful. So I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry for the people who got injured. Yes,
but it would be helpful if you would be truthful. It would be helpful if you were truthful about the real extent of the injuries. For example, the Hague Centre for Strategic Studies did a survey of what happened. They found that hundreds of voters had been injured on polling day, and they concluded with these words: the use of force displayed by the Spanish police has no place in an established democracy.
The use of force was done under court orders in the face of resistance and violent attacks against the police. There were 45 policemen injured. So in 2,200,000 that there are 2 people in hospital, one with a heart attack, is regretful. But I don't agree with what the Hague conference or organization says. We have to back up police forces when they act following a court order. I'm sorry, we have to do that in Spain, in the UK, and in any democratic country.
Another question concerning the atmosphere in the run-up to this December vote. It concerns the fate of the several members of the former regional administration who are languishing in Spanish jails right now, including, of course, Oriol Junqueras, the former vice president of the regional government. He has described the situation inside his prison. He says, quote, "Communication with the outside world is very limited. We can only talk for 50 minutes each week on the phone. I haven't yet seen my children." You're a Democrat, you live in Spain. How do you feel about locking up, again, I say it, civilian politicians who are pursuing their political agenda with a mandate, an elected mandate from their voters, and you lock them up in these conditions? How do you as a Democrat feel about that?
I tell you how I feel about that. I have my own opinion, but you say you lock them up. No, it is a judge who has locked them up. As you say, they have put them in provisional prison for committing crimes, because they are accused of committing serious crimes. It is the judge who, in a democratic country like Spain or the UK, who puts people in jail, especially provisionally. These people are accused of serious crimes, and these people have the same rights, I suppose, as any person who is in jail. I don't think that they can complain of having worse or better treatment than anybody else. In fact, I think they are in one of the most modern prisons in Spain, and they have many facilities. So I don't agree with that.
Well, if you're a Democrat, Mr. Toledo, doesn't it trouble you that with the vote on December 21st looming, and Mr. Junqueras and others wanting to put themselves forward to the public for election, it seems it's very troubling that they are still locked up. Why do they need to be locked up? Why can't you at least give them their freedom, because they're not convicted of anything? Give them their freedom so at least they can participate in the political process.
You know, in Spain and in the UK, the one who puts people in prison is a judge, and the one who decides to put them out of freedom is a judge. If I could have my opinion, it would be more comfortable, if you would, politically, if they were not in prison. But this is not our call. This is not the government's call. In a democracy, in the UK, it's the same thing. We cannot put these people in freedom. It would be a judge. In fact, they have appealed the court order that put them in prison. It will be reviewed by the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court will decide probably in the next few days. So we'll see, but the government can't do anything. These people were not put in prison because of what they think, because they are independentists. Mr. Junqueras has been an independentist all his life. He has been accused of committing crimes. He has to defend, he can defend himself with all the guarantees, and if proven guilty, he will go or not to jail, depending on what the judge says, not depending on what the government says. That's very important.
All right, let's get to the head of government, Mr. Rajoy. I just wonder what his message is to the people of Catalonia today. What is he offering Catalans in terms of a response to the political situation in the region, which suggests Madrid is listening and Madrid is prepared to offer something to the people of the region, to give them more power, a sense that Madrid is prepared to meet them at least halfway in their desire for more autonomy, more regional power?
Well, you must know that Catalonia is probably the region with other regions in Spain, which has the most powers.
No, that's not true.
Apart from that,
that's
President
not true.
Rajoy,
That's not true, Mr. Toledo. I can't let you get away with that, because we know that, for example, just two regions I can name you right now, the Basque region and Navarre, they both have much more significant tax-raising and fiscal powers than Catalonia. You know that.
No, but Catalonia has other powers which they don't have. But anyway, Catalonia has never had so much power. And we can discuss that. We can discuss fiscal arrangements. In fact, President Rajoy has invited so many times when the then President Puigdemont and President Mas to come and discuss in a commission to discuss the fiscal territorial arrangements. And they don't come. President Rajoy has offered to discuss 45 different complaints that affect real life for real people in Catalonia, and they have refused. So President Rajoy is offering, first of all, to restore the legality, to restore self-government, have elections, and with the new Catalan government, he will be open for discussion, for discussing anything. And if they want to change the constitution, we have our legal framework. They have to propose that in parliament. They have to conduct political dialogue, because Stephen Sakur, where do you conduct political dialogue in a democracy? It has to be in parliament. So President Rajoy has always been and will be open to dialogue. We have opened a commission for starting discussing if we need and what we need to reform our constitution. That's the place to discuss.
Yeah, all right. Well, be clear about one thing then. Neither of us knows how this election is going to work out on December 21st, but if those parties clearly backing independence win a clear majority in the new regional government, and the latest opinion polls I've seen suggest that the party in the lead right now is Mr. Junqueras' party, the gentleman I've just talked about, with his ERC party, which is entirely committed to independence. It looks like the vote is going to be very close. But if the forces of independence win, will you accept that that represents a legitimate mandate for the Catalan regional government to push on with their quest for secession and independence? It will be a mandate.
No, I don't accept that, because in order to do that, they will have to go present themselves in Madrid at the Spanish Parliament, where all Spaniards are represented, propose that, and that all Spaniards, the representation of all Spaniards, decide what their country is. Because the fundamental thing here which is missing is where is it written, not in the Spanish constitution or in international public law, that a part of a country can decide what the whole country is. It's also personal for me. I want to decide what my country is. Why should anyone deprive me from voting in the end, or from giving my opinion of my countries, the definition of my country? You know, we have a constitution that was approved by 91% of Catalans, which is very clear about this. It is very clear, and it says that what the country is, what Spain is, has to be decided by all Spaniards.
Well, Interesting, and I'm not sensing any movement or compromise in your answers, but it is interesting to note that in 2006, the constitutional agreement that Spain signed up to did talk of a Catalan nation. You're now, it seems, not prepared to recognize any notion of self-determination for the people of Catalonia, and I would just suggest to you that if this vote goes the way of the independence parties, you're going to have a crisis in Spain, and the European Union will probably begin to lose patience with a Madrid government that is not prepared to talk the language of compromise.
Well, that's your opinion. It's not my opinion. These kind of things can't happen in Europe, in the European Union anymore. The European Union has a treaty, you know. We have all signed to this treaty, and it says that the European Union, meaning the European institutions and the European countries, member states, have to respect constitutional order of the member states. It wouldn't be possible in France. It wouldn't be possible in Germany. You know, in Italy, the Constitutional Court revoked a law in some of the Italian provinces calling for a referendum of self-determination. The only difference with the Catalan government and those regional governments in Italy is that the regional governments in Italy accepted the court ruling. The regional government in Catalonia didn't. So it is a question of, it's not a question of law and democracy. What is the law in a democratic world? It is the expression of democratic dialogue. So you want to change the constitution, come, propose it, and if you have enough support, we'll change it. But we will all be able to vote.
All right, Mr. Toledo, let me move on to another issue which is very much in your portfolio, given that you're responsible for EU affairs. That is the state of the Brexit negotiations. The British government is very keen to see the EU move on to the next phase of Brexit negotiations when the European Council meets in December. The British say they have done enough on the various first phase issues to move to the really big deal, which is talking about the future trade relationship. Do you, in Spain, see enough progress made for you and your government to back a move to the second phase of the Brexit negotiations?
Well, negotiations are underway as we talk. And they will be underway for the next week or 10 days. So I hear that there are some progress. There is some progress. There was not enough progress last time we met at the European Council. There was some positive steps, I must say, taken by Prime Minister May that were acknowledged, and we in Spain acknowledge them. We think that we need a deal, and we think that we're getting closer. But we need something more, and the British government knows what we need.
We don't have much. Let me try to make this quick. We don't have that much time, Minister Toledo, so I'm going to try to make it quick. Let's get to specifics. Start with the money. In brief, Theresa May and her cabinet appear to have sanctioned now, offering the EU roughly 40 billion euros as a financial settlement as part of the Brexit deal. Is that enough, yes or no?
No, no, it's not that it's not enough. We are not looking for a figure. We are looking for a commitment to honor past commitments, and we have to. We don't have to agree on a figure at this stage. We have to agree on principles to arrive at a figure when the final deal is made.
All right, next issue, and it's very pressing in recent days with a difficult relationship developing between the British government and the Irish government. The Irish government says that it will veto any move to the next phase of negotiations unless the UK government is entirely clear about how it's going to avoid a hard border between Northern Ireland, which of course remains part of the United Kingdom, and the Republic of Ireland, which of course is a member state of the European Union. Do you feel that enough progress has been made on that issue?
Well, in that we back our Irish Republic of Ireland friends. But I know that Prime Minister May and the UK want the same solution, that we have no border between the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland, because we all want a Good Friday Agreement to survive the Brexit, and we want a common travel area. We have to find solutions, and we need some. Our Irish friends tell us that we need some more commitment. So so we will trust them there if I'm allowed.
But I guess the point is this. The British government is sort of blaming the Irish and saying that the Irish are playing politics with the border issue. But you seem to be suggesting to me that there's absolute unity amongst all of the member states of the European Union, excluding Britain, of course, unity, and that this isn't a question of Ireland playing politics. You all, right now, do not believe that the UK has offered enough on the border. Is that what you're saying?
I was in Dublin last week. My Irish colleagues told me that they need some more concrete commitment. So I'm willing to trust them there. You know, they know what's all about. I know what's all about, but I prefer to trust them and negotiator Barnier. We have given a mandate to negotiator Barnier, which is quite clear about that. We trust our Irish and Barnier colleagues on that. But we know that the UK is also interested in preserving the Good Friday Agreement, so I think we can get an agreement soon.
All right. A final point about Brexit, which is actually taking us back to Catalonia in a way. The Scottish nationalist movement, and of course they are in government in Scotland, in their government, they are keen to hold, after Brexit, a second Scottish independence referendum. And if they win, it does look as though there's a strong possibility Scotland might, before too long, be an independent nation. If that were to be the case, and they applied for membership of the European Union after the UK had Brexited from the European Union, would Spain welcome Scotland into the European Union?
Mr. Sakur, there are too many ifs in your question, so allow me not to respond clearly to a question. If these things about referendums and self-determination referendums, and I tell you my personal view, it's a never-endum. So we will respect the UK legality. If there is a legal referendum, we will have nothing to say about it, and I hope the Scottish government has the same respect for our constitution than we have for their constitution.
All right. Well, I think I'm reading between the lines there. I'm going to end with one big thought about the European Union. It is your portfolio. I think it's fair to say that there are lots of big visions around. We had Jean-Claude Juncker outlining a very ambitious vision for a much deeper integrated, united Europe. We have Emmanuel Macron talking about the necessity for Europe to develop a much closer financial integration with a financial minister, finance minister, some beginnings of pan-European taxation, a defense force. But at the same time, there's a massive leadership problem. Angela Merkel's in trouble. Your Spanish government is weak. It's got corruption scandals as well as the Catalonia problem. Mr. Macron isn't very popular. Where is the leadership that is going to make these dreams of a powerful, integrated EU into reality?
I'll tell you something. Spain has always been a very pro-European country, except some, like Mr. Puigdemont, who was insulting the European Union yesterday. But we are very pro-European, and we will be among the most ambitious. We had gone through a very, very difficult crisis, economic crisis in Spain. We are now growing. We will get over this Catalan constitutional crisis. We are getting it. Legality has been restored, and we will be there leading the deepening of the European Union. I can assure you that.
We have to end there, but Jorge Toledo in Madrid, thank you very much for being on Hard Talk.
Very much. Thank you very much to you, and I hope next time, if there is a next time, it will be face-to-face. Thank you.